Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto all of you. This morning we listened to a very brilliant presentation about Sharia from Dr. Jamal Badawi. He explained that Sharia is something that is divine. It comes from God. It is embodied in the Quran, the scripture, the word of God, and also in the sayings of Prophet Muhammad, which is known as Sunnah, his tradition, and the tradition, of course, comes through the Hadith, the words and deeds and the approvals of the Prophet, and then of course there is a question about which one is authentic, which one is not authentic. But anyway, these are the two basic sources, and he mentioned the purpose and the objectives of the Sharia. And then he also mentioned the difference between the Sharia and the Fiqh, that is the jurisprudence. And jurisprudence is the work of the human beings, scholars, authorities who spend their life studying the Sharia, Quran and the Sunnah, and also the whole history of interpretation. And then after that they will give you certain opinions, certain positions. Again, they are debated, there are different views, so there are varieties of interpretation, there are varieties of views that come out in that. The basic point that is there is that the whole purpose is to obey God. And how to obey God, that is what is the way that the scholars explain that. So the first thing is in Sharia is obeying God. The second thing is doing justice to each other. So you have in the Sharia, there are things that are related to belief, worship, prayers, fasting, charity, pilgrimage, and there are also things that come to about family life, marriage, divorce, inheritance, child custody, many other issues related to that. And then also comes the business. Honest dealings, avoiding usury, gambling, and all of these issues that come with that. And then comes the issues of how to govern your society as individuals and as communities and as a state, how you govern yourself in that. So there are politics in that. So there is economics, there is politics, there is social relations, there is marriage, all of this. So Sharia is comprehensive. And Sharia's interpretation also tends to be comprehensive. It covers everything. Belief, worship, personal hygiene, rules of what is permissible about food, dress, marriage, divorce, inheritance, as well as social, economic dealings, state and government affairs, administration of justice, international relations, war and peace. And there are guidelines for all these matters. Nothing is left out. Everything is within that, in that system. Scholars devote their lives to study Islamic law, specialize in some particular areas of the law. There are volumes written on different aspects of the law and on its very minute details. But by explaining certain things, how to do that, Muslims have not gone behind that. They have done something more than that. There are experts who explain and interpret Islamic laws and give authoritative rulings. Some of it I do that, and our council does that, which is called fatwas. Not all fatwas are death fatwas. Fatwas are also about issue whether you can do this, you can eat this food or not eat this food, marry here, divorce this. All of these issues are related to fatwas. And there are courts, judges, governments that administer this law. Now the question that we have here before us is how the minorities deal with this kind of comprehensive law. Minorities living under a different system, under different governments, how they handle this kind of laws, and when especially those who are living in the non-Muslim majority states. Specifically we are talking here about Muslims living in America. So the question is how Muslims can live by their laws of their religion and the laws of the non-Islamic lands and especially when there is a conflict of law. How to resolve that? Let me say a few things about the Muslim communities around the world. You know that there are about 1.5 billion Muslims in the world today. About two-thirds of the Muslim population lives in 58 countries that are predominantly Muslim, that are called the Muslim majority countries, members of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference. And almost 1/3, about 500 million Muslims of the world live or have been living in many non-Muslim countries as minorities. So Muslims of America are neither the first nor the only Muslims living in a non-Muslim land. Muslims have been, this has been experienced. And this is not something recent. This has been something for some communities for centuries. They've been living there for some countries 100 years, less than 100 years. So Muslims have been living, they have this experience as live as majority and live as minority. And those minorities that are living, 1/3 of the Muslim population of the world, they are, most of them, law-abiding citizens. They have no problem with their countries in which they are living. They contribute to the society. They live, participate, and enjoy their life. And we have not heard the scare of Sharia from anywhere except recently here in America. Nobody said that, oh, these Muslims are living here now as minority, we have a problem with them. They have difficulty here and there, sometimes problem, but still, they are living. And they do not impose their Sharia laws on their non-Muslim neighbors, and they do not violate the laws of the land. They try to be faithful Muslims and loyal citizens of their countries. In the past, when this experience was not broad, when some jurists, they heard from someone from their country gone into a non-Muslim country living there, sometimes he sent a letter asking, is it allowed for me to live in the non-Muslim country or not? So people have asked this question. And you will find different opinions given. Some people say, no, you have to come back. It's not allowed for you to live in the non-Muslim country, because you cannot fulfill all your religious obligations. So come back, live there. And some people say, it's okay, if you have no other place, live there. Then they found a large number of people either gone as prisoners of war or has gone for business, or some people native who accepted Islam, and the number is growing and growing. So people said, well, this is the land of God. Ardullahi wasi'ah. The land of people can live any place. But then there is another issue that came, and the debate that took place on that, which is Darul Islam and Darul Harb, or Darul Kufr. These are the classical way of dividing the world. That Muslim, this is not in the Quran, but this comes from the juristic tradition. How to look at the world. So they say Darul Islam, and then there is the Darul Harb. And there are different definitions of that. And some people divide it into dars, and some people divide it into 4 dars and 5 dars. Dar means abode and the place. Some say there is Darul Islam, and some say there is the place of Islam, and then the place of war, and the place of unbelief, and the place of security and safety, Darul Amn, and Darul Ahad, and Darul Sulh. All of these different ways they looked into that. So the debate, and this is a huge debate, I mean, the volumes have been written on this subject, and people bring out many things on this, different opinion. What is the opinion of people that is generally accepted? People say, forget about all this. There is no such thing as that, because most of the countries were colonized by other powers, and people lost control of their own lands and all of these things. So the final kind of point was, anywhere you can practice your religion freely is Darul Islam. If you can practice your religion in India, that is Darul Islam. We had a lot of debate in India about that. When the British came and all those kind of things, the Muslims lost their authority and power in India. If you can live freely, practice your religion freely, that's Darul Islam. And that is the general position of Muslims today. So if somebody brings the issue of Darul Islam, Darul Harb and all of these things, come on, we have overgrown this debate. Somebody says whether Muslims, non-Muslims, Muslims can live in non-Muslim country. Well, there are 500 million people living there. They are not going back to any other place. So that, again, this debate is over. But the point is still, the question is how to live with my Islamic law, with my Sharia, in a country which does not implement Sharia and everything. How I can organize my life. So that's what I would like to emphasize here is the coexistence, the principles of coexistence in Sharia. First thing is, Islam recognizes that all human beings have fitrah, the nature, reason. And so there are a lot of things which are common among the human beings, al-ma'ruf and al-munkar. Things that are known are good are known among the people. Things that are bad are known among the people. So Islamic ethics is not a strange ethics, it's a special ethic. It is the same common heritage of all humanity. So you have to recognize that people have many things in common. And especially Judeo-Christian tradition and Islamic tradition, Abrahamic tradition have many things in common. So we talk about, if I take in alphabetical order, we say accountability, compassion, courage, faith, faithfulness, forgiveness, freedom, friendship, generosity, honesty, integrity, justice, kindness, loyalty, obedience, peace, perseverance, prayer, protection, conciliation, repentance, respect, responsibility, righteousness, service, thankfulness, understanding, self-discipline, work, all of this. Actually, somebody made a whole encyclopedia on that, on Islamic ethics, and put 360 virtues and vices, what things to do and what things you should not do. And most of them is put that in 12 volumes. Beautiful work, quoting verses from the Quran, sayings of the Prophet, sayings of the Muslim scholars. Nice encyclopedia called Nadratun Naim. We study that every morning in our Islamic society. After Fajr prayer, after morning prayer, read something from that to let the people understand the ethics of Islam. So there is the ethic, common ethic, and ethical relations. Wherever you live by these principles and abide by these principles. And there is no parochiality in this, that you do this to Muslims and not do it to non-Muslims. Actually, do it to all people, to understand that. So wherever these values are found in any legal system or any cultural systems, Muslims are supposed to recognize them and accept them. Except for the rules of worship, 5 prayers a day, certain rituals, certain food laws and other things. The Sharia basically talks about justice, mercy, human relations, human welfare, public interest. And so there are not that many differences when you come into the details of the Islamic law between Islamic law and any law, natural law, that you'll find that. So Islamic law and the natural law are together. And that's what I use the word fitrah. That is, the religion is something to do with your nature. And the nature is not something bad in the Christian concept, but the nature is something given by God. And the nature is the way God created the people. The second thing that you have to understand in these principles of coexistence is that the Sharia rules are generally divided into 5 categories, not in 2 categories, into 5 categories. There are things that are obligatory, there are things that are forbidden, There are things that are recommended, and there are things that are not recommended, and then the rest is all yours. Decide yourself. Called mubah, permissible, halal. And the rule is, everything is halal unless it is forbidden. Everything is halal, everything is allowed unless it is forbidden. So that gives you broad scope working for yourself. But of course you have to do your obligations, and you have to avoid the prohibitions. So you must not do that which is forbidden, and you must do that which you are told to do. You are commanded. Rest you decide among yourself for yourself. So, and then also Dr. Jamal Badawi explained that within the Sharia there are certain things called necessities and needs, and also we have what is known as refinements. So certain things that are absolutely required, that you have to do that. If it is absolutely needed, if it's a matter of survival, eat pork. If it is a matter of survival. Then there are also things that are needed. And these are the things that you have more in order to protect yourself, to avoid this, all of this, you do that. And then you have, make a refinement, make it better, nice, good, all of these things. So this is the various classification, priorities that are mentioned in the Sharia. And then we come to the third principle, which is very important for understanding how Muslims live in the non-Muslim land. And that is what we call it, two types of ahkam, two types of rules. One are known the rules for personal, family, community life. These are called al-ahwal al-shakhsiyya or al-ahkam al-shakhsiyya. Things that are related to your personal aspect. Then we come to the issues that are related to the state. And these are called al-ahkam al-sultaniyya. When you have authority, what to do. When you have power, what to do. So you have to understand both aspects. The rules for individuals, family and communities, and the rule that applies to states and governments. Muslim individuals, families and communities are required to live by the personal laws of Islam, including the laws that are related to personal ethics, hygiene, prayer, and fasting and charity and pilgrimage, halal food, halal business, marriage, divorce, inheritance, etc. These are personal things. Some of these are fixed, some of these open for interpretations and various interpretations and different viewpoints and all of these things, you are there. The states must apply or should apply collection of taxes, administration of justice, punishment of crimes, law and order, international relations, declaration of war and peace. Some of these public laws are also fixed. I mentioned that in the Quran. And while some can be changed, the new laws can be made. So Muslim states are required to protect their non-Muslim citizens and give them full rights to their personal laws. But the non-Muslims are not allowed to interfere with the public laws, because public laws are the laws of the state, and the state is the Islamic state, and there is no separation of church and state there. So the laws are the laws of the state, but non-Muslims are allowed to have full liberty to their worship, to their marriage, to their divorce, to their teaching, to the appointment of their leaders, everything that they have to do that. Total freedom in that. The state will not interfere at all. And that's the way how minorities have been living there. Then, in a similar way, when Muslims live as minority, they also have the same thing. Live by your personal laws and leave the laws of the state to the states. You don't interfere with that. Don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't drink alcohol. But if anybody does that, you are not allowed to punish that person. because you don't have the authority. You don't have a court. You don't have justice on that. It requires a lot of details, a lot of way of checking everything. You don't have that. So don't interfere with that. Don't mess up things there. Then you just fear God. Repent. And that's between you and God. But not the implementation of, not the penal code that we have talked about. This penal code is not the authority of Muslim individuals, and no Muslim individual should take the law in his own hand. So honor killing and this killing and that killing, absolutely forbidden. Has nothing to do with that. Actually, this honor killing is called, I call it something that brings dishonor to everybody. It's not an honor killing, it's a dishonor killing. Because it brings dishonor to people and dishonor of the whole community if people do that. They should not do that. Now, let's very quickly, I'm sure that you are looking at me, so I have to go very quickly. How we deal with some of the laws that, because in America, our personal laws are not recognized. In certain countries, yes, personal laws are recognized, but here in America, personal laws are not recognized. The state imposes everything. You cannot marry without taking a license from the court. So first you have to go to the court, take a license, and then you get married. And the licenses are all very restricted. In some states have more restrictions. Even the person cannot perform marriage without getting a permit from the state. And the person has to have a license. I remember that I had to perform the wedding of my niece in Virginia. I had to take 2 trips. One time I had to go there in front, appear before the court and say, I'm going to perform on such and such date at such and such time, the marriage of such and such person to such and such person, and then I'm given a special permit to do that. And then they had to go and get a license also. So you see that? As an imam, I can perform anywhere in the world marriage, but not in Virginia. I have to have a permit for that. And we do that. Because this is the law. So you have to live by that. So why? Because there are 2 things you have to remember. And I think this is the good thing to keep in mind. In United States, we are not told to do anything that God forbids us to do. We are not said that you must do what God forbids to do. So nobody says you must drink alcohol, you must eat pork in order to be American. Nobody says that. On the other hand, in United States, fortunately, and we are very thankful for that, nobody tells us that you cannot do what God tells us you must do. Nobody says you cannot pray 5 times a day. I mean, some people are trying to create problem, but the law doesn't say that. So the state is not going to interfere with that. So pray, fast, do charity, go to pilgrimage as many times as you want, and all of this is all permissible. That there is nothing that is obligatory according to Islam is prohibited according to the law. But there are certain things permissible according to Islam are forbidden according to the law. And there are certain things forbidden by Islam, permissible by the law. It's forbidden in Islam to drink alcohol. The law says drink as much as you want, as long as you're 18-year-old. So the law allows that. So you have this, understand that. So as far as getting a license and traveling, all that, Islam does not forbid me to have that. It's an extra burden, but Islam doesn't say that you cannot go and travel and get a license in order to perform marriage. So I should do that. Because this is the law of the land. I have to abide by that. So that's the other area is the area of, I think you have to finish, let me just very quickly mention that, is the divorce. According to the law of United States, and each state has its own variation on that, divorce is only granted by the civil courts. In Islam, husband can divorce his wife. Wife can seek divorce and go to ask the husband to divorce her, or go to the imam, go to the judge and ask the judge to separate them. Here in the United States, neither the husband can divorce his wife, nor the wife can divorce her husband, nor the imam can do that, nor the rabbi can do that. Nobody can do that. Everything has to be done by the court. So, but it's not forbidden in Islam to go to the court and get the divorce. In Judaism, yes, you have to have man's divorce. But in Islam, you can go to the court and get the divorce through the court. So what we say, if somebody comes to me and say, I have problem, please separate me, I tell them, cannot do that. You have to go first to the court. Get the divorce first, then I'll confirm it, if I agree. So this is the way how people are trying to work it out. That is, understand what is permissible, and within the permissible, if the law of the land puts certain things, live by that. It will be very nice to have the personal law recognized, but since the personal law is not recognized, then you do that. Law of inheritance is not recognized. If somebody dies intestate without a will, the local laws apply. Whatever is the local law. The state is going to divide his will divide his estate according to the local laws. So what we say? We say, write a will and have it registered and have it notarized. Then it can be, and this is the way how it is done, unless those people who are trying to say, no Islamic will, nothing, it could be recognized, that will be a big problem. But at the moment, what is recognized, and that's what we have. People are writing their wills and having it notarized, agree on that, and then after that, you can die comfortably. Everything will be divided according to the law of God. Number of other issues like that come. So people try to accommodate and try to adapt themselves within that. And people have done that in different places. Some places have recognized the personal law, so it's more easy. They have their established courts. They have bodies, fatwa bodies, the Darul Ifta, the Darul Qada. These are the things that have been established in certain countries. Here we don't have Darul Qada, but we do have Islamic councils. We have imams. Imams give fatwas on issues of personal law only. Imam gives fatwa, and there is the fatwa council that we have it, the Fiqh council that is one of the co-sponsors of this conference. That's what the council does. That is, people bring us certain issues and we answer them. So this is the way how we are trying to live by the law of God as well as the law of the land. And it is very important that Muslims should respect the law of the land and live peacefully, and those who violate those laws, or those who create problems, and those who do extremism and all of these things, that is not what Islam stands for. That is against the teachings of Islam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.